You are welcome to Dredala Fashion Guide. If today is your first time, my name is Giware Joy Igudala, G Joy for short. You are welcome. I want to specially welcome you and I encourage you to click on the subscribe button and also put on the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I post a new video. I make videos every week. In today's video, we are going to be learning how to draft a shoulder dart bustier, and I'll be using the board for my illustration. So sit tight and let's dive into the video. For those of you who are returning subscribers, I want to say thank you very much, and keep the comments flowing and keep the thumbs up. And if there is any video you want me to make, kindly suggest it in the comment section below. So without further ado, let's go to the board. So we are going to be using the board here for our illustration, and these are the measurements we are working with. The shoulder is 17, shoulder to bust 11.5 inches, shoulder to underbust 15.5 inches, shoulder to waist 18 inches, and the bust circumference is 40 inches, the underbust is 34 inches, the waist circumference is 36 inches, and the bust span, which is the nipple to nipple, is 8 inches. And the armhole depth is 8 inches. I hope you know how to calculate armhole depth by now. I also have a video on how to calculate formulas and calculations. You can check that out. I will also leave the link to in the description below. Now our bust circumference, our underbust, and the waist circumference, we are going to be dividing them by 4 because usually our fabrics are folded into two parts for the front bodies and 2 parts for the back bodies, making a total of 4. So that is why we usually divide the circumferences by 4. I'll be using this part of the board for my front bodies, and I'll be using this side for my back bodies. So we'll be starting with the front bodies. Now we want to start by imputing. Now this is my starting line, and I always use this edge as my starting line. So I'll be taking my measurement from this side to this side. So we'll be starting with the shoulder. Our shoulder will be dividing it by 2. We have a shoulder of 17, and then you divide it by 2. Simply fold your tape into 2, and that gives us 8.5. I'm going to be using the exact measurements. When you are drafting on fabric, you can go ahead and add allowances. So I'm just using the exact, which is 8.5. And then we'll be working with a neck depth, a neck width of 4 inches, and a neck depth of 4 inches. So you can go ahead and put in the neckline of choice. So that is our neckline. Then on the shoulder, I'm going to be dropping my shoulder by 1 inch. That's because the human shoulder is not straight, so I'll drop it by 1 inch and just connect it to the neckline. Then I'll be imputing the armhole depth. The armhole depth is calculated by using the bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5. So the bust circumference, the armhole depth is 8 inches. So I have a total of 9 inches here. I'll go ahead and repeat the 9 inches so that I can have a straight line. So, to know the amount of fabric to put on fold, we usually use the highest circumference to fold our fabric. So, in this case, the highest circumference is the bust. So, if there was the hip, then you use the hip as the highest circumference. Okay, but in this case, it is about, because this is a half scale bodice. This is a half scale body stopping around the waistline. So, the bust is the highest circumference. So the bust divided by 4, then you can add 4 inches to that to know the amount of fabric to put on fold. That means you fold 14 inches. Now I'm going to repeat the shoulder measurement, the 8.5. I'll repeat it on this chest line so that I can have a straight line connecting the armhole. So I'll go ahead and connect the armhole depth. So far I'll just label what we have. This is a chest line, and this is the bust line. This is the under bust, and this is the waistline. And for those that are wondering the lines that we drew out, these horizontal lines, I have shoulder to bust point. So now I have shoulder to the chest line, shoulder to the bust, shoulder to the under bust, and then shoulder to the waistline. So those are the lines that I have drawn out. So having marked the armhole depth, I'm going to determine the armhole curve. So I'll get the midpoint of this armhole depth. I'll get the midpoint. And for the front armhole, I'll go in by ½ inch. That is the difference between the front and the back armhole. And then for the armhole length, it is the bust circumference divided by 4. Bust circumference divided by 4, that will give us the armhole length. Okay, so in this case, that is 10. And then I use my French curve to make the curve. Sorry, that one is for the back. The front, this is where the front armhole is. So this is the front armhole. So the next thing is to put in the bust span measurement. The bust span measurement is the nipple to nipple point. That is the distance from one nipple to another. It is 8 inches. Because our fabric is on fold, or our pattern is on fold, we'll be dividing that by 2, and that gives us 4. So I'm going to mark it all from the chest, on the bust, all the way down. I'll be marking the 4 inches. and then I'll connect that with a ruler. The next thing that we're going to do now is going to be a bustier. Now there are different ways to make the curve of the bustier when you are allocating the darts. Some can allocate on one side. For example, I want to take a 2-inch dart. Okay, you can decide to take all the 2 inches on this side, or you share it 1 inch on both sides. So for me, I want to share it, so I'll take 1 inch on this side and 1 inch on this side. So that is the way I want to make the bustier. So 1 inch on the bust, and mark 1 inch on both sides. So on the waist, I mark 1 inch on both sides. On the underbust, I'll take 1 inch on both sides. So I'll just connect the underbust straight down, the underbust to the waistline with a ruler, like so. And then I'm going to be using the curve, the French curve, to connect the bust to the underbust. On this bust line, I'll come down by 1 inch so that the bust area will be free. And then I use the French curve to connect that to the underbust. Like so. So because it's a shoulder dart bustier, I'll come to this shoulder, I'll measure what I have and then divide it by 2. This is what I have, 4 3/4. I'll just simply divide what I have by 2 and mark it. And then I'll connect that line to the chest line. So on this shoulder line, I'm going to take a 1 inch dart on both sides. And I'm going to connect that to the chest line, and then on this, for this bust line, I'll go up by 1 inch. So that is where the upper curving will also end. So this will come and end here. This will come and end here. So let's see if we can use our French curve for that. Okay, let's just use our ruler first. To the chest line. And then you want to connect this curve. So you just blend it in. So this will come like this, so this side. Okay. The reason why I like this type of bustier, so that when you are joining this side, there will be a curvy part to join it together. Now, because of this dart I've taken on this shoulder, you discover that after cutting here off, it will reduce our shoulder line. So to avoid any shortage, we'll be replacing this dart that we have taken. We'll replace it here, the 2 inches, and then we reconnect the armhole. Okay, so where we stop on the armhole length, we stopped here, so we extend it by 2 inches. So from here we'll connect to this point. I'm just going to erase this line. So this is our chest line. So I use the French curve to connect that like this. So we extend this chest line. So that is what we have. So we will no longer be using here, cutting here as our armhole. We will be cutting here so that we can have our complete shoulder. The shoulder before was 4.85. So by the time we now have this and continue here, our shoulder will now be complete. So that is basically all that you need to do. The next thing now is to put the bust circumference. So this part is going to be cut out. So we just impute our bust circumference. So I'm going to be ruling out these lines again to make them more visible. So on this bust line, we'll go ahead and mark. So let me relabel them this way: on the bust, then the waist. So I'll take my bust circumference on the bust line, bust circumference divided by 4. And then the under bust circumference divided by 4. Under bust circumference divided by 4. I'll replace these 2 inches that. And then on the waistline, the waist circumference divided by 4. I'll also replace these 2 inches. And then I just connect that. Just connect it. Don't forget, we have not added our allowances yet. Okay, so you can add your allowances as you like. You can add your allowances as you like. So this is a princess, this is a shoulder dart bustier. So the front pattern is complete. Okay, so let's come to the back. For the back, now for the front, you are folded with the highest circumference divided by the highest circumference divided by 4 plus some seam allowances. So we said the highest was the bust circumference, which is 40 divided by 4, 10, and we add 4 inches to that. That will give us 14. So if you use 14 inches to fold these front bodies, for the back bodies, depending on if you want to have a zipper, then you are going to add the zipper allowance. Okay, so for some persons they use 1 inch, some use 1.5. So I have 1 inch zipper allowance here, and this side. So you can have the 14 inches plus the 1. That means when you are folding these back bodies, you fold 15. The way you are folding the front bodies, you fold 14. Okay, so I have some lines drawn out here already. This is our zipper line. So this part I've separated is the zipper. That is where the zipper will be. So just call it a zipper allowance. Okay, and then we are going to start all our measurement from this line. Okay, so since the back armhole, the back ended with the armhole this way, I'm going to do it such that the armhole will also end on this side. So we are going to take the shoulder measurement. The shoulder we are working with is 17, divided by 2 is 8.5. So I will start from this line. Okay, I'll mark 8.5. And then the neckline, the neck width will be the same. I use 4 inches here, so I will also use 4 inches here. And then I'll have my shoulder slant here, 1 inch. So I'll connect the shoulder slant. The back neckline is not usually as deep as the front. So for the back, I'll use 1.5 deep. So it depends on what you want. Some use 1 inch, so I'll be using 1.5. and then I just connect it to this place. I can use my free hand, or you can also use your French curve to give it a slight curve. So the same armhole depth, 8 inches. Sorry, the zipper is supposed to be on this side, on the neckline side. Since I've decided to use this side as, since I want to use this side as the armhole, the zipper will be after the neckline. So I mark the 1 inch this way. So I'm using this side for my armhole. So this side will be the zipper. The zipper is usually with the neckline. So I'll mark my armhole depth here, which is 8 inches. The armhole depth is 8 inches, and then I get the midpoint of that. So I also mark this 8.5. I also connect it here. You see, 8.5, and then the 9 inches. I'll mark it here so that I can have a straight line. So let's label the lines that we have. The lines we have here, we have the chest line, we have the bust line, and then we have the waistline. There's no under bust at the back, so the chest line, the waistline, the bust line, and then the waistline. Chest line, bust line, and then the waistline. So to have the armhole length, I'll just take the bust circumference divided by 4 on this line. And then I mark the armhole curve. So take note of the difference of the armhole curve. So this is the armhole curve. for the back, but for the front it went in a little bit by ½ inch, and then we have to redraw this because of this dart that was taken. Okay, so that is why we drew this again. So we'll also go ahead and impute all our measurement to be starting from this side, from here towards this way. So we put in the nipple to nipple, which is the bust span measurement divided by 2. We are using the same 4 inches. We put it on the chest line, on the bust line, and also on the waistline. And then we connect that with a straight line. We join it together like this. So I'll be using for the back dart, I'll be using a dart of ½ inch on both sides. ½ inch on both sides. And the length of that will stop 1 inch above the bust circumference, the bust line, to stop 1 inch above the bust line before the chest line. So the dart will stop here, and then we'll just connect it in the form of a triangle. So that is just withdraw these lines. That is the waistline, the bust line, so to make the back pattern to be like the front, we also put in the bust dart, but we are not going to cut it out. We just mark it, divide it by 2. Just connect it with a straight line to the chest line. So we are not going to be cutting it out. So when you are cutting your pattern, you cut through here, you cut through here. So you just cut through here like this to this point. Then you cut here to this point. So the next thing to do is just to impute the bust circumference. The bust circumference and then the waist circumference divided by 4. So the bust circumference divided by 4, we have 10 inches. Then the waist circumference divided by 4, and that will give us 9 inches. And then the 1 inch dart, and we'll just connect. So take note, we have not added our allowances yet. And one more thing, the length from the shoulder to the waist for the back and the front are not usually the same. The back is usually shorter than the front with about 2 inches, and that is why we make use of the bust dart. Okay, so in this pattern I did not use a bust dart, but if you want to use a bust dart to take care of that excess, okay, you just take your bust dart around here, around this bust area. Okay, you take the dart, the 2-inch dart, you take it towards the nipple point, but I'm going to be taking it, removing it from the down part. Okay, the sides will be the same, so I'll just go up here by 2 inches and slant it to the side. So that will make sure that my sides are equal, and then take care of the difference that we have between the front and the back. So we'll be cutting here out. So if you don't want to use this method, then you put in your bust dart so that it can take in the difference, and in that case you will not be using 18 inches as the length here. You now use 16 inches, but we have used 18 inches, and to make them equal at the side, so the only thing that we have to do is to now reduce, to remove the excesses here. This will take care of the zipper bulge. So that is just the pattern for a shoulder dart bustier. So when you are transferring to your pattern, remember to put in your allowances at the side and also at the shoulder area. Remember to put in your allowance at the shoulder area. Remember to put in allowance all around at the shoulder area, at the elbow area, the sides, okay, the down part. We have come to the end of this class. I hope you find this tutorial helpful. I hope now you now know how to draw a shoulder dart bustier. Until next time when I come your way again, I remain G-Joy. Bye for now.